Thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, I wanted to talk about an excerpt from Hugo Vickers' new book about Queen Elizabeth, stating that Prince Philip had a less than positive nickname for Meghan when she first entered the family. And I feel like every couple of years we find out a different royal family member had a negative approach to Meghan when they first met her. They showed up with biases. This woman never stood a chance thriving in this institution, and it's because that institution was not built for people like her to thrive. Not just people who are Black, not just people who are American, not just people who are not royal affiliated prior to marriage, but people with a soul. They're not meant to thrive in that kind of environment, which is why Prince Harry also struggled in that environment, despite being a royal family member, a blood-born royal family member, despite being a male, despite being white. He is the quote unquote perfect archetype to survive in that system, and he was unable to survive in that system. And the reason is he has a soul. He cares about other human beings. He's a decent human being, and that's thanks to his mother. But anyway, we have to get into this article from Feminegra, so let's get started. This article is published to Feminegra, written by Miss Historian, and it's titled, "If Meghan Sussex Was Welcomed, Why Was Prince Philip Reportedly Calling Her the American?" Meanwhile, he was barely in the land of the living, walking around looking like a corpse. The latest royal revelation suggests that, behind the photographs and public gestures, some members of the family may already have spoken about Meghan Sussex in far less welcoming terms long before she criticized the institution. Mind you, her criticism extended to the length of only sharing her personal firsthand experience. She never even did like an analysis. She didn't air out all their dirty laundry. She barely aired out what they did to her directly. She always operated with such tact and dignity and consideration, far more than they ever deserved then or will ever deserve now or in the future. She only shared her firsthand experience, and that was only after years of trying to work within the institution to correct the behavior that was overtly being done. None of it was a mistake. It was all intentional, and she still gave them the benefit of the doubt to try to fix it within the institution and operate through the chain of command. We saw all those emails to human resources. We saw all those emails and letters going back and forth. We saw all those text messages. We saw Meghan go above and beyond to try to operate within the fold, to help the fold and herself as well. And they were throwing her, feeding her to the wolves. They were practically cutting her open and spilling her all over the wolves to entice them to attack her. They put that woman out and hung her out to dry. They wanted her defeated and defenseless. And all she simply did was give them the benefit of the doubt and try to help them out and herself, when really they deserve to be given the benefit of an ass whooping. Anyway. The latest royal revelation, let's go to the next paragraph. According to coverage of Hugo Vickers' biography, Queen Elizabeth II, A Personal History, Prince Philip reportedly referred to Meghan as the American around the time of her Sandringham Christmas in 2017, of her first Sandringham Christmas. Separate royal biographies have also claimed that Philip compared Meghan to Wallis Simpson, called her DOW, short for Duchess of Windsor, and warned Prince Harry about marrying an actress. Those claims come from different authors and remain secondhand accounts. Quote, writer and lecturer Hugo Vickers recently revealed new details about the event in his biography, Queen Elizabeth II, A Personal History, including the nickname Philip once gave Meghan. Hugo Vickers wrote, quote, the staff at Sandringham joyfully surrounded the couple at the annual Christmas party and nicknamed the actress Sparkle. Aw, I love that. Prince Philip, however, was not taken in. He referred to her as the American. I also want to point out how insidious this is to be rude and nasty to someone who hasn't ever harmed you. And then also we have the account of Meghan sharing how much fun she had at their Christmas dinner, speaking to each other. And she was sharing all these stories with him and having a good conversation, and the man was deaf in the ear that she was sitting next to, and Harry was like, oh, he's deaf in that ear, and she said, oh, well, I had a good time. So it shows the kind of energy and the kind of positivity that she showed up with, the kind of lightheartedness and the all-in mindset that she had. She was giving these people the benefit of the doubt, and again, I say they deserve the benefit of an ass whooping, but I'm glad that we have her account, and now we know exactly what was going on behind the scenes. But also, it's insidious because while she is going all in and trying to be her best self, despite not needing these assholes at all, But they were being nasty to her and undermining her. You don't think that her staff, recognizing that the other senior royals don't like her or mistreat her or have some kind of bias towards her, you don't think that impacted how they responded to her or showed up for her, knowing they would have support on the other side if they didn't fulfill their duties as the people who were supposed to serve and manage her? They knew that they could get away with the shit they were getting away with. Which is why they also had negative nicknames for her. They had their own personal biases. We have to keep in mind that a racist institution and a racist system doesn't just apply to the people at the top. The system in and of itself is racist. It is biased. It is anti-Black. It is also clearly anti-American. So very clearly, these many biases exist within this system and uphold this system. Meghan's existence, not her actions, not her words, not whatever she could possibly do in a million years. None of that impacted her. What impacted her was simply being present, because this system in and of itself is built on rejecting her and people like her because of their own hangups. Nothing to do with Meghan. She was just the focal point, but they were the problem. They undermined her at every turn. These people, and when I say these people, I don't even mean senior royals. I mean the staff there, the people who support and operate and manage the system itself, not the senior royals, but the people who manage the firm. They also hold a bias, which is why they work within that system that supports their limited views. And so because they operate in that system, because they are the people who manage that system, because they are the people who enforce that system, seeing Meghan there, they didn't want her there. That challenges the very system that they have built their entire careers, their lives, and their own mindsets around. Their belief systems are built around the discriminatory practices of systems like this, which is why her simply showing up was a challenge to that system. And they took it out on her rather than saying, why do I have a problem managing or working with or supporting a senior royal who is half Black? Why do I have a problem with taking direction from a half Black person versus taking a direction from any of the other white people? Why do I have a problem whenever she asks me to do something, whenever she sends an email, whenever she gives me a project to work on or gives me direction or manages me in any kind of way? Why do I have a problem with her being my boss versus the white people? And it's because I see the white people as authority figures. And I see the white people as belonging in an authority position. And I see her as someone who should be beneath me, because I believe and I adhere to a white supremacist system. Her presence is challenging my biases and my beliefs. And I'm never going to look internally, because any kind of person who has a bias like that, they don't look internally. They would never challenge that belief system because their whole identity is built around it. And so her being present, simply doing what she was told she was supposed to do as a senior royal, that challenged them. That's why they made a big stink about her waking up at 5 a.m. as if that is not the norm. The fact that these people, these employees, could actually make a stink about their boss working, not asking them to work her hours, which she even had a disclaimer in her nomenclature in all of her emails saying, my hours are not your hours. She covered her ass at every turn, by the way. And thank goodness she did. And they still maligned her. Let's continue. The American. You better believe it. Hugo Vickers is not a neutral narrator in the Sussex story. He has publicly argued that Harry and Meghan caused the late Queen's significant distress, while taking a noticeably more sympathetic view of Prince Andrew. That does not automatically make his reporting false, but it is relevant context when assessing claims sourced through him. However, if accurately reported, the timing matters. Christmas 2017 came just weeks after Harry and Meghan announced their engagement and months before their wedding. The royal family also gave Meghan an unusual invitation to spend Christmas at Sandringham before she officially became a member of the family, a gesture widely interpreted at the time as a sign of welcome. Hell, what they could have been doing was trying to get her in an isolated space so that they could drive her away. They could have recognized that Sandringham is kind of isolated. She's not going to have a whole lot of contact with the outside world. We can use this time all together to drive her away. We can make it unbearable. Keep in mind, Princess Diana said being at Sandringham was actually the worst part of her royal experience. She hated being at Sandringham with the rest of the family. That is when they treated her the worst. I don't find that to be a coincidence. And I think if maybe that was the line of thinking, it looked like a gesture of welcoming, but really it was an opportunity to isolate Meghan and get her to leave. What they did not bank on is, one, Meghan had an identity outside of the UK. She did not pedestalized the royal family. But also, not saying that Diana did, but I'm speaking specifically of Meghan. What they could have assumed was that she pedestalized these people and that she would do whatever they said, or she would just adhere to however she was treated, when really she came in with her own identity, her own success. And really, this was an opportunity for her to get to know her future husband's family. And that was really all it was. She was not clout chasing. She wasn't trying to come up off these people, and she did not need these people. And at no point did she ever think she needed these people. She was gracious enough to spend her time with these people, time they did not deserve with her or in her presence. And they also didn't bank on her husband having her back. The latest claims suggest that behind the photographs and public gestures, at least some members of the family may already have been speaking about her in far less welcoming terms. And this was years before the Oprah interview, Harry and Meghan on Netflix, or Harry's memoir, Spare, the projects frequently cited in later royal commentary as having deepened the breakdown in relations. The Oprah interview aired in 2021, the Netflix series followed in 2022, and Spare arrived in 2023. That chronology is precisely why the latest story deserves attention. It does not prove Meghan was bullied from day one, nor can Philip now confirm or dispute what has been attributed to him. But if these recollections are reliable, they add to a growing collection of reports suggesting that negative attitudes toward Meghan existed inside royal circles long before she publicly criticized the institution. So perhaps the question is no longer simply what Meghan later said about the royal family. It is what was already being said about Meghan when she barely arrived. And I also want to point out, she showed up to a hostile environment. Regardless of how she responded to her treatment, to the treatment that they gave to her, regardless of how she responded to her experience, regardless of how she responded to them and their provocation, their mistreatment, their behavior is what offset all of this. And this is what happens to a lot of victims who have been abused in a multitude of ways. People get more upset at the disruption of calling out the behavior than they get about the behavior itself. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of people calling out racism or sexism or mistreatment or abuse or sexual harassment at work. And the company is more upset about the way the person responded to this treatment, despite having so much time to intervene or call it out or stop the treatment. They get more upset at the calling out of the treatment than the treatment itself. I'll never forget calling out racism at a sprinkler company in Dallas, and my manager saying, I just hate that we have to have conversations like this. It's so uncomfortable. And I said, I hate that I have to come to work and be racially profiled. So we're both uncomfortable, except only one of us is uncomfortable because of racism. It was very disappointing to find out how upset people get that they have to respond to something or support or protect a victim. More upset about that than they get about the fact that someone is being victimized in the first place. Anyway, Meghan didn't do anything wrong to these damn people. And also, I want to point out that when she was discussing her time at Christmas, when she was talking about how much fun she had talking to Prince Philip, Harry told her that she was talking to his deaf ear. So she was in a whole different experience. That man was probably just biding his time talking to the Black American. He's no better than the rest of them. Anyway, and look at him in this picture right here. They dug him up for this photo itself. Anyway, at the end of the day, Meghan didn't deserve how she was treated. I don't think anyone, especially people who support the royal family, I don't think anyone can ever doubt what Meghan said occurred while she was there. Diana also had the same experience, and Diana was white. These are just very vile people. And until someone actually holds them accountable, they will continue to do this to the women that enter their family. What's even weirder is at this time, the monarch was a woman. And they were still a sexist and racist community or group of people. It's really sad. Anyway, you never hear about this kind of stuff happening to the royal husbands who marry in. They may have had some uncomfortable moments trying to adjust, but you never hear about just this onslaught of mistreatment and criticism and abuse. You just don't hear about it with the men. It's ridiculous. No one should be getting treated like this, but it's very clearly a racism and a sexism issue. Thank you so much for watching the SharionSade YouTube channel. I appreciate you watching my content. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video by hitting the thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And don't forget to comment along the way. If you feel so inclined, please don't forget to share so that more people can find us. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Now let's get back to the video. So that's all I have for y'all today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Sending so much love to Harry and Meghan and those babies and their entire family, Queen Doria, everybody that is involved with the Sussex family, sending them so much love and compassion. I also want to point out that Meghan's experience was extremely negative. And no matter how you defend or criticize the way she responded to it, she didn't deserve to be treated like that from the onset. No one does. But for someone who was so gung-ho to just expand her family and to meet her husband's family and integrate into this other family and join it with her own, such positive and understandable and hopeful intentions to be treated like this, it makes me want to wring each and every one of these sorry sacks of shit's necks so badly. So badly. It just upsets me. No one deserves to be treated like this. They were so threatened by this woman. Her existence challenged their own inherent biases and their own inherent phobias, their racism, their sexism. They were brought up in an institution that made them feel like they were elite and superior. And her presence, simply being there, showed them that everything that they believed about themselves was incorrect, wrong, and tawdry. They were lame as hell. And I'm just saying on a basic, just lame ass people. And they're mad because someone entered the family who did not need them, but she was gracious enough to let them be around her. And now she's not. Now she allows one or two of them. Hell, she's very, very discerning about who she allows in her space, and good for her. They don't deserve her, and they never did. Harry did, however. Harry deserved her. And that's why he and her have a beautiful life together. She deserved him, he deserved her, and they chose each other. And the rest of these cretins are jealous about it. Now, here's the crazy part. And this goes for anybody who's sitting around stewing in their hate, trying to project it out to other people and make it their problem. If they spent a quarter, hell, even an eighth of the time that they spend hating on Meghan and focus on Meghan and Harry and trying to bring them down and trying to manipulate the media against them and manipulate the world against them, etc., if they spend an eighth of the time they spend trying to sabotage Harry and Meghan and focus that amount of time on themselves, they would be in positions where they were content with their own lives, that they wouldn't feel the need to do this stuff. But instead, they would rather project out rather than look in, do the introspective work, and change the way they operate. They have so many resources and such a big platform that they are able to do pretty much anything they want to do, have anything they want to have, and be able to make a huge impact. And instead of doing that, they're choosing to attempt, because they don't have access anymore, but they attempted to sabotage people who really were out here trying to make the world a better place. And I hope they know that for the rest of their days, they will continue to look like walking half-dead corpses, because they are nothing to this earth. They don't benefit the earth at all. And when they die, nobody will miss them. The most they'll get is what? A couple of plaques, a couple of cool funerals. Their clothes will get handed down and people will pretend to be paying homage to them in the future. But that's it. That's the extent of their existence. How sad, when they could make the time on this earth valuable and worthwhile, and they choose not to. Which is why I like to spend my time supporting the people who do something with their time on this earth. They try to leave a positive impact, and they care about other people. Good for Harry and Meghan for setting an example of, again, what royals, but also public figures or people with a platform should absolutely be striving to be. And that is impactful in a positive way, making the world better than how you found it. Anyway, that's all I have, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.